Hey there guys, Oxy here. Today I'm going to be going over a very simple shape couch and a more advanced professional tube couch. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So, the first method we're going to start off with is our basic cube couch. So, the things we'll be needing is the cube shape, and then on our materials, I'm going to be using the carpet material. Next, I'm going to go over to a kind of grayish, more black color. So either fog or gray would work. I'm going to pick fog. And now we're going to get into the next part. So now I'm going to be going through all of my maker pen settings. If I change a few during this, make sure you change your settings with me. So I'm just going to start from the top, and then you're going to copy all of them. Don't rotate while moving, off. Enable self-scaling, on. Create grabbable objects, off. Position snap, 0.5. We want the smallest position snap that we can have because we want the easiest placement of our armrests and our other cubes. So now, rotation snap 5 degrees. Uniform shapes off. We don't want the cube scaling off with itself. Snap to center, on. Align to edges, on. Show grid, on. And none of this really matters. So we're going to go to the third page. Rotate around pivot, on. And that should be it. So now we're going to get started actually building the sofa. So I'm going to go to my shapes. Make sure I'm on cube. Make sure my material is on carpet. And then I'm just going to make myself a armrest to start off with. So I'm going to get a relative thickness and width that a regular chair that you would see would have. Here's what mine looks like. Now I'm just going to make any additional adjustments that I need. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is make myself a couch cushion. So I'm going to go back over here to my armrest, and I'm just going to align with this corner, and then I'm going to make myself a half of a couch cushion. So I like this. We're going to now manipulate this over halfway. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the move tool, slightly move this up because it's in a half of the armrest. Now I'm going to use my clone tool, clone this bad boy over. I want to leave the gap right here because that will show the separation of the cushions. Next, I'm going to take and clone my armrest and put it exactly on the other side. Now we have our basic frame of our couch. The next thing we need to do is make the backrest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here, go slightly above, and I'm just going to make myself a backrest going down all the way to the other side of the chair. I'm going to bring out my manipulate tool if yours is skinny like mine and manipulate it in accordingly. There you go. You have your very, very basic cube chair. Now we're just going to make sure that all of our shapes are merged. Gotta go into our options and merging our shapes. So now what you can do is you can now move your couch down, and this would be a very, very basic couch that you can sit on. Now we're gonna get into the main meat and dessert of the tutorial, what you really came here for. Now I'm gonna get started with my tube couch. So I'll see you there. First of all, we're going to get started with our maker pen settings. So if you haven't already, open up your palette, go to your settings, go to the first page, and now we're going to get started with our settings. So our first setting will be uniform shapes on, rotation or position snap 10, rotation snap 5 degrees, snap to center, align to edges, and show grid on. Now we're going to change our tube size to 8 centimeters. Turn fixed tube width on. Connect nearby tubes on. Smooth tubes on. Tube height ratio of 100%. Tube facets of either 10 or 6. I suggest using 10. And that is all of our main settings. Make sure you are on tube. I'm going to be using the same material and color that I used for the previous couch for this one. So to get started, we're going to make our couch cushion first this time. So now I'm just going to make a 4 wide long, actually 5, and then go down by 5. Going to connect my tube over, and now I'm going to go back into this shape. You should have something like this. I'm going to take and rotate this to make it flat. So here should be your outer ends of your couch cushion. Next, we're going to go back to cube. Turn uniform shapes off and turn our position snap to 0.5. Now we're going to go to the corner of this tube and go to the opposite corner. You should have something like this. This would be our perfect couch cushion. So as you can see, I've left a bit of a mistake right here. So I'm just going to go back through, manipulate it down, and then I'm going to manipulate over. Just try to smooth it out as best as you can. Manipulate over. Now we have our fully done couch cushion. And one thing you can do that isn't necessary, but you can do it, is move this back down and kind of leave the cushiony bit right there to give more detail. If you're gonna have your couch look editable through here. So our next thing, we're going to merge all of our shapes if they're not already merged. And now we're going to look for the side with the crease. We're going to invert clone to the right. Move it in, make sure the gap is there. And this is our couch cushions. So now we're going to take and merge both of these. And we're going to get started with our backrest now. So we're going to go back to our tube settings. Position snap back to 10. Uniform shapes on. And everything should be the same as it was. So we're going to go back to our tubes. We're going to come back here. And then we're going to make the tube generally the same size as both of our cushions combined. So I like this. I'm going to now take and raise this up slightly so it's not in my couch. And now I'm going to take and clone this up. I think that looks good. I believe that was 3 times up on a 10 position snap that I did that. So now I'm going to use my create tool, and I'm going to connect these tubes. Okay, so my tube didn't connect on this side. So I'm going to turn my position snap down to 0.5. Gonna bring out my manipulate tool and manipulate up accordingly. There we go. Now we have our backrest for our couch. We're going to go back to our cubes. Turn our position snap to 0.5. Turn uniform shapes off. And go to the opposite corner. To the other opposite corner again. Now we're going to come around back. Manipulate this. Make sure it's all flush. So now we're going to merge both our tube and our cube, if it's not already merged. And then we're going to now rotate this on a 5-degree rotation. Rotate it back slightly. And then we're going to move down. Gonna move in. And there we go. We have a nice couch shape. If yours is off center like mine, you're just gonna take your move tool, make sure you're on a 0.5 position snap, and now move it to the center. So now we're gonna get started with our armrests. We're gonna go back to our tube settings, turn our position snap back to 10, uniform shapes back on, and make sure all of your settings are like mine. All right, so now that we have all of our settings configured, we're going to now do the same tactic that we use for our backrest. We're gonna draw out the length of our cushions, and now we're going to move this down to the bottom of our backrest. And then we're going to use the same tactic and clone this bad boy up. Leave it at a height that a regular chair would have. If you want to, you could cut it off right here and have a kind of shorter armrest, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go back, edit these, connect this tube into this one. Now I'm going to connect this tube into the other one also again. So as you can see, it's misaligned. We're gonna fix that right now. So we're gonna turn our position snap back to 0.5, use our manipulate tool, and manipulate them up accordingly to how far apart they are. So this side was a little bit down. We're just gonna select it, move it up slightly again, and now your armrest should be flush. So we're going to go back into our edit tool, and then we're going to use cube again. We're going to turn uniform shapes off if it was on, and we're going to go to the same corner again to the other corner on the inside. Should be flush like mine. If it's not flush, you can just flatten it out along with the tube. Mine's poking out a little bit. I'm going to move it back in, and boom, that's pretty flush. Now I'm going to take this side and invert clone it over. That didn't invert clone, so I'm just going to rotate it myself. Gonna go back to my move tool and move it to the opposite end of the couch. I'm gonna move it up some so it's flush with my other one. Looks good to me. Move it down slightly. Boom, that's good. So if you wanted to skip the bottom part of this, you could just turn uniform shapes on and just trace out the bottom of this couch. Use your manipulate tool if it's not completely to the end. Move it in, and you would have a perfect tube couch. All you would do is just make sure all of it is merged with your select tool, and you would have a perfect couch. So you could just move this to the floor. I didn't select all of it. So you're just going to make sure it's all selected and merged, and just move it down to your floor. There you would have a perfect tube couch. But for those of you who want to have the whole bottom filled out, we're just going to use our delete tool on that tube we just added. Open up our palette, go to 10 position snap, uniform shapes off. Actually keep that on. Smooth tubes off. Go to 4 tube facets, 25 centimeter tube size. And now we're going to go to the bottom of our couch, turn connect nearby tubes off also. So now we're going to trace the whole bottom of our couch with this tube. I'm going to use my manipulate tool to make it slightly longer. Now I'm going to come down, use my clone tool, and clone this other to the back side of the couch. I don't like how there is a slight gap, so if you'd want to, you could just move this back once more, or you could keep it to where mine is, and you would have a perfect cube couch. So that's gonna be it for today's tutorial. Alrighty everyone, you made it to the end. Congratulations. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a subscribe to the channel and like the video. Please be aware that more content is coming soon. Just keep your eyes peeled for some new videos. It's been a long time since I've uploaded. Glad to see you here. Peace.